Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we break down the latest news and current events. I'm your host, Walter. Today, we're going to dive into a developing story that's unfolding in the Middle East. Reports are emerging of an Iranian drone strike on Kuwait International Airport, which has resulted in at least one fatality and dozens of injuries. According to Kuwait's government ministries, the strike occurred earlier today, targeting a terminal building at the airport. Details are still coming in, but it's been confirmed that 63 people were injured in the attack, with 7 requiring urgent major surgical procedures. The Indian Foreign Ministry has also confirmed that an Indian national was killed in the strike, and several more were injured. The Kuwaiti government has described the attack as heinous Iranian aggression and reported that vital installations, including diplomatic missions, were damaged. This incident comes amidst a backdrop of escalating tensions between the US and Iran, with both sides exchanging fire in recent days. Bahrain's military has also reported intercepting ballistic missiles and drones targeting civilian sites in the Gulf monarchy. Iran, on the other hand, claims that the US struck a tanker and a communications tower on Qasem Island in the Strait of Hormuz. As the situation continues to unfold, it's essential to consider the complexities and nuances of this conflict. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments and providing updates as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that the region remains on high alert, with the potential for further escalation hanging in the balance. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into a complex and intriguing story unfolding in Armenia, where national elections are just around the corner, scheduled for June 7th. The country is witnessing a tense political landscape, with the ruling Civil Contract Party led by Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan forecasted to secure about half of the nation's votes. However, Pashinyan's campaign has been marred by criticism over the arrest of opposition members, including the leader of the largest opposition party, Samuel Karapetyan, and even members of the church. These arrests have sparked concerns about the use of the criminal justice system to silence dissenting voices. Legal experts like Anna Malikian from Protection of Rights Without Borders argue that such actions undermine democracy and the freedom of speech. The situation is further complicated by the historical and ongoing conflict over the Nagorno-Karabakh region, which was formally recognized as part of Azerbaijan following a peace treaty. This move has been controversial, with many feeling that it does not adequately address the rights and futures of the ethnic Armenian population displaced from the region. Armenia's foreign policy and its relations with major global powers are also playing a significant role in these elections. Russia's interference is seen as an attempt to influence the outcome, prompting both the EU and the US to express support for Prime Minister Pashinyan. The EU has been particularly active, organizing the first-ever EU-Armenia summit in May to strengthen ties and expand its presence in the region. This comes at a time when the geopolitical landscape of the South Caucasus is evolving, with projects like the Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity aiming to create new trade corridors between Europe and Central Asia. As we explore this story, it's clear that Armenia stands at a crossroads, navigating internal political challenges, external pressures, and the quest for peace and stability in a volatile region. The outcome of these elections will not only determine the country's leadership, but also potentially reshape its relationships with global powers and its approach to long-standing conflicts. Welcome back to Concrete Block. As we wrap up today's show, let's take a look at the latest developments in Cuba, where the country is facing a significant economic challenge due to increased US pressure. The Trump administration has been ratcheting up sanctions on Havana, cutting off its supply of Venezuelan oil and threatening tariffs on any other country that sends fuel to Cuba. This has had a devastating impact on the island's tourism industry, with several major airlines suspending service and countries like Canada and the UK warning their citizens to avoid unnecessary travel. As a result, foreign companies are being forced to reevaluate their investments in Cuba. Recently, Spanish hotel chain Meliá announced that it would be shutting down its operations in Cuba, citing the island's geopolitical, social, legal, and economic context. This decision is likely to have a significant impact on the Cuban economy. which has long relied on tourism as a major source of revenue. The U.S. sanctions have also targeted Grupo de Administración Empresarial S.A., the conglomerate known as GESA, that's run by Cuba's military and dominates much of the island's economy. This has led to a corporate exodus, with companies like Royalton Hotels and Resorts Ltd. and Iberostar Group shutting down their operations in Cuba. For Cuban leader Raúl Castro, who turned 90 this year, the corporate exodus only adds to the pressure. The U.S. Department of Justice has unveiled murder charges against him, and negotiations between the two countries are ongoing. Despite the challenges, Castro remains a powerful figure in Cuba, and his legacy continues to be celebrated by the Cuban people. As we consider the complex situation in Cuba, it's essential to approach the topic with nuance and balance. While the U.S. sanctions have had a significant impact on the island's economy, it's also important to recognize the Cuban government's role in shaping the country's economic fortunes. Ultimately, the future of Cuba will depend on the ability of its leaders to navigate these challenges and find a path towards sustainable economic growth. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.